You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today is LFC prospect, a newcomer to the Lingerie Fighting Championships scene, Miss Rylee Jade. Rylee, it's a pleasure and a privilege. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. First and foremost, it's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute privilege. You are now a prospect of LFC, and you are one of many that we can see at a future LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships event. First and foremost, let's talk about the prospect side of things. How you feeling? Because goodness gracious me, you're a newcomer on the block, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you in Lingerie Fighting Championships.
Thank you so much, Mike. I was so shocked to see that I was in the top five from within the prospect rank. I was honestly really, really shocked. I didn't think I was going to even make the list, so to speak. Never mind being in the top five. It's oh, it's amazing.
The LFC rankings are always one of those things, and it's great because like we have a lot of the normal fighters, like we see Bella Inc., Lauren the Animal Fogel, really showcasing their stuff. The top 10 rankings are really one of the major things that has really encompassed the Lingerie Fighting Championships product, especially now with the prospects. And congratulations on being in that top five. That's absolutely amazing. And I think for your stance as well, it just shows that we have women like Ty Emery who's there. We have women like Laura Cross. We have women such as Sadie Suicide, such as Katie Gannon. There's so many talented wrestlers, and what I love about it too is there's a variety in there that also encompasses that. So some could be from modeling, some could be from this industry, that industry, done some fetish work, adult work. The main goal at the end of the day is everybody's fitness thing, everybody's overall hard work and cases. And I think that's why the variety that we saw, not just in LFC, but on that top 10 prospect list, it just shows. And you're in the top five, man. You're in the top five.
I'm so excited, Michael. You have no idea. I mean, like you said, out of all the people on the list, you have boxers, bare knuckle fighters, wrestlers, people that do other uh, adult content
Right.
related videos. It's crazy the mixture of women that they have on the list. Like I said, I'm just so happy that I made it onto the top five.
Well, I think it's also a thing that a lot of people, it's always so funny every time we have this conversation because everybody looks at it. You look at the name, you look at the initials LFC, you look at the one particular word, it's lingerie. The main thing that a lot of people take away from it is, oh, it's just women rolling around in lingerie. It's like, no, as LFC is titled, it's a little bit of MMA, it's a little bit of wrestling, it's a little bit of clothing. It incorporates and encompasses that sex appeal side of things because we got a lot of beautiful and sexy women. Hello, Rylee Jade. I'm talking about you in one of these, and I incorporate you in that. But it's one of those things too, as well. Like you have to have that sex appeal mixed with some skill, and it really encompasses one's overall internal and external beauty. And I mean, you look at the Lingerie Football League. One of the LFC fighters, Lauren the Animal Fogel, is an alumnus, if you will, of the Lingerie Football League. You look at a woman like we've talked about, Danielle Monet, who will go on to beat Summer Rae in the WWE. Ty Emery, LFL All-Star. Her and Lauren played on the same team as the Las Vegas Sin. So there's that different type of connection as well. A lot of people can feel from whether it be the Lingerie Football League or Lingerie Fighting Championships. And you look at Invicta. Invicta is another great comparison. You have Shayna Baszler, who came from Invicta. You have women like Jessamine Duke, two of the MMA four horsewomen, if you will. So it really does coincide with everything that we see in women's combative sports.
Exactly. I just feel like it's a great opportunity to showcase what we can do inside the ring. I have to say, I have never ever fought in an MMA octagon before. I have done wrestling. I do jujitsu recreationally, but it'll be challenging for sure. I mean, I'm really hoping that I get the chance to work with LFC within this year, but nothing's for certain yet.
If we can have badass Canadians like Serena Honey Punch Kyle, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and Danielle Cowbell St. Pierre, just to name two Canadians who have fought in LFC, we can have some Rylee Jade up in here, man. So I mean, Canada. Well, here's the thing too. Our last bout for LFC 36, Angelica, the Italian knockout Cole, all the way from Italy. She was coming to the States, but all the way from Italy. We got some Mambo Italiano. That's some more Angelica Cole going in there doing her thing. So if we can have the Canadians like Serena, Danielle, and yourself, and if we can have someone from Italy, it's internationally known, and we're known to rock the microphone. It takes two, Rob Bass and Easy Rock. So how can we not, right?
Exactly.
Now, being an
Mhm.
LFC prospect, I'm also kind of curious here. So everybody has that gravitational pull, so to speak, that you know what I'm saying, that really makes us want to get into said field, endeavor, what have you, whatever we want to pursue. So I got to ask you, how did the Lingerie Fighting Championships come onto your radar? Because there's been an alumni of so many wrestlers, like from Shelly Aphrodite de Silva, aka Shelly Martinez, Jennifer Thomas, aka Jenny Bloody Valentine's, a wrestler in her own right that's still doing the LFC thing. So we have an alumni that's such a crop for those that have looked at the annals of the Lingerie Fighting Championships history. For you, how did you, Rylee Jade, just boom, Lingerie Fighting Championship? How to come into your radar?
You know what? I think I found LFC during COVID time. I don't remember exactly when, but I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, this is an interesting type of MMA. I have never seen something like that before. Is it similar to, like lingerie football where you're really playing football, but in less clothing? And same with MMA. Um, I do a lot of work with the athletic commissions here in Canada. So I do attend a lot of local MMA fights. I am very familiar with what goes on inside the cage, how they wrap their hands, what they have to train for, et cetera, et cetera. So when I saw LFC online, I was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe, just maybe, I can actually fight for them. But again, we'll see. We'll see if it happens within this year. I'm very hopeful that'll happen eventually, but let's hope that the LFC president sees me as a good candidate and put me on his future card.
I think so, and I mean, I look at it from a stance too as well. When you talk about COVID, like Sheena, the Hungarian Hurricane Bathory, who just fought. This is her just at her second fight for LFC. COVID
Oh,
wasn't the thing that stopped her. Like she was originally from Hungary, she got stuck there. Now she's moved fully to Las Vegas, Nevada. So I mean,
oh,
we have that happen. And here's the thing with COVID, affected a lot of people. It affected travel. There was a lot of unfortunate stuff that happened. There was deaths. We've seen the toll that COVID's taken on people. But I think, and I have to ask you this, because during COVID, when it comes to workouts and your jujitsu and your overall badassery, yes, I'm using that word badassery, Rylee Jade, there's this thing that really encompasses the overall creative juices flowing, if you will. We could do home workouts. We could do this. We have the creativity because if we can't go to a gym, we can't do this. We have that ability to showcase our stuff from inside the house, even though behind these walls, so to speak. So I'm curious with COVID, how did it affect you and how did everything go from like the workout standpoint? How did COVID really just, I mean, it gravitated towards LFC. My God. I mean, a lot of people, even with OnlyFans, got to do stuff and really showcase work from that side and put out content. So for you, how did COVID work out for you and just what you needed to get done and how it gravitated you toward LFC? How did COVID really affect you at that particular time?
well, this is going to be kind of embarrassing, but during COVID times when all the gyms were closed, initially I was on such an exercise high. Like I used to go to the gym at least 5 days a week, no joke. When COVID hit and the gyms were closed, I'm kind of like, well, I don't I don't really like running outside. I don't really enjoy doing any type of exercise outside, so to speak. But I think for the first 4 months or so, I forced myself to run outside because that was the only thing I could do. And doing all these body weight workouts in playgrounds and such, like I had no choice, honestly. I really wanted to stay fit, so I did it. But eventually I was like, oh, you know what? I can't who the hell runs outside? Seriously, I can't take it. I need the treadmill. I like being in an air-conditioned space. Outside is not for me. Eventually I just kind of stopped for a while, which was really unfortunate because I love to eat. Eating is like my favorite hobby. Um, anyways, with COVID, I kind of gained a little bit of weight. Um, I remember when the gym initially opened, I think like last year for a little bit, um, I went back to working out. It wasn't the same. It was really, really hard. I felt like my lungs were gonna blow. That was definitely not the time when I was like, oh, I can definitely fight for LFC. Yeah, I'll crush people with my weight or something like that. I have no idea what I was thinking. But anyways, really, really glad that the gyms opened up permanently. Uh, I don't even know when it was, like December or so, no, January of this year.
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah. So I started training pretty regularly since, and I'm hoping to get myself back on track. I'll still crush people though in the ring with my weight.
Yeah, all right. I like the intensity. I like the intensity.
Uh,
Confidence. Well, I could hear you about this. And with playgrounds, you just had me have a flashback. For those that remember the 2004 film Fat Albert, which Keenan Thompson was in, and many others, reminds me of Rudy when they go to the playground. He's just on the bar, just going nuts, getting that workout in. You know what I'm saying? But no, it also
oh,
it reminds me of a lot of stuff that. Well, here's the thing: a lot of people don't like to run outside, and I can understand you. You're not a regular Michael Johnson. There's a reference for track and field, for God's sake. But here's the thing here, Rylee Jade. Sometimes, you have to manja a little bit. I understand as someone who is a manja and food addict himself, but it's one of those things as well. I get it. I understand. And I think for what you have and what we could see really in your overall intuitiveness and your overall, I'm going to say this right now. We talk about internal and external beauty. Another thing I like to say is that voluptuosity factor mixed with swag. You do have a lot of that we see. And that, like you mentioned, talk about crushing, that's the mindset that you need and the overall heart to do what you do when you get into the lingerie fighting championships. So, I mean, you're in the right
oh,
place, man. You're welcome and welcome with the manja. You know what I'm saying? You got to eat it. Swells the goal size, surprise, it gains a clock, motherfucker. Let's go, to quote Robert Frank. Huh?
oh
I see
God.
you.
Oh my God. You know what? People when I talked about crushing people, I literally mean I will crush people with my weight. Literally crush them, KO them that way.
Hey,
That's my plan for winning, okay?
all right. Hey, I can respect that. I mean, sometimes, it is what it is. And I think when you have that size and stature, sometimes you have to use your weight to your advantage. I mean, a lot of people discuss that. I'm going to say right now, curves the word, spins the verb, Black Street, no diggity, no doubt. You look at a woman
Mm.
like Monica Flowerbomb Garcia, another one who is very size and stature, very built. She is a beast in the gym, but she can also come at you with your size. And a lot of people use that. Some people have their own technique, so to speak, right? People use their size to their advantage. Some people are very systematic, session joint manipulation. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to strike you. I'm going to smash, bash, put a hole in your ass. Everybody has that type of mindset, so to speak. So, I mean, if you can use that to advantage and mind you doing your thing and applying your craft and technique, which you possess, we'll get into wrestling here in a second. So it's like, God dang, man, if you can incorporate all of that, that is a succession and a win overall for you, Rylee Jade, when you make your debut.
Thank you. I hope so.
Welcome.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yes, I hope so as well. I just the party boy single there for a second. Don't just so no, it's
No, none of that.
right, of course. But no, I mean it's one of those things too where we have a lot of great people here coming into lingerie fighting championships. You yourself, now I'm gonna ask you as well, because one of the great things, and I always like to use this line with a lot of the new girls and just girls in general, we are the representation of our presentation. So when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to LFC, we just did some badass events at the FSW Arena, Future Stars of Wrestling in Las Vegas, where we've seen people like Killer Cross, where we see people like Eli Drake, Brian Cage, Chris Bay, if you will, come from that particular wrestling school. So we see the FSW incorporated. And I always say from the entrance to the overall, how you come to the ring and you swag with your lingerie, how you get into that ring, you're the representation of your presentation. And that also amplifies yourself and your character. So I'm going to ask you, because the entrance is a big thing when it comes to LFC. It's great to apply the craft, but god dang, man, all eyes are on you. And I'm not talking about Tupac Shakur. I'm talking about all eyes are on you, Rylee Jade. So I have to ask you, you got the style, you got the finesse. It don't make no sense, Bruno Mars style. For you, Rylee Jade, lingerie, it's a big thing. It encompasses the entrance. So what do you think about lingerie style, getting that fashion, getting that overall finesse, getting that overall style and that swag once more? What do you think in lingerie style for when you make your debut in LFC?
You know what? I have a couple ideas in mind, but I don't really know what I want to wear yet or how I want to walk into the ring. I have an idea. Um, I know there is going to be a show coming up, and it might fall around Halloween time, which means we might get to wear costumes, right?
Hey,
If we get to perform, you know.
right.
Oh, so,
Well,
sorry, there's some.
well, here's the thing too, and this is why I love how you actually brought that up because October would represent Halloween. But god dang, man, and here's why I laugh because at the last one it was on May 13th. And mind you, it was a Friday, Friday the 13th.
Oh no.
Lord the Animal Fogel is the only one who repped the Jason Voorhees, the mask and stuff. And I'm like, all right, you see, that is very apropos because it's Friday 13th. Everybody, mind you, very sexy, had their own little, entendres and their overall, wear and their overall socializing, how they dealt and did their sexiness. But it's like, I like that because anybody, just the little nuances and the intricacies, if you will, is Friday the 13th, boom, I'm Jason Voorhees. I can respect that. And also, nobody thought out of the box like that. That's why that's what I like about it too. If it's Halloween, you can have a little something mixed with it. I mean, I'll look at Vita Von Star, right? Vita Von Star has done her thing in Ring of Honor. She's doing her thing now in Capital Championship Wrestling. She came out there looking like, she's got that goth vibe. So she had a little black and stuff, maybe a little bells with the lingerie. I felt like I was attending psychosocial, for God's sake. Somebody put on some Slipknot. It's one of those things where it's your overall personality and it's yourself amplified, if you will, amplified right up here, the voltage, baby. It's one of those things as well where it's just you're just showing your stuff. And that's what I always tell people because there was a lot of girls that are nervous. Booty camp events, any LFC event, main show, booty camp, it's an attraction. It's something special and everything has that feel to it. So everybody that's new, there's going to be nerves, but everybody will be fine. And if you're Carmen Valentina, who I love to death, who just made the last debut, she talked about her cardio and all that stuff and how she was kind of like blown by the last bout. And I told her, I said, hey, at least you survived all the 3 rounds. It's something for you to work on. You know what I'm saying? Going into the next one. So everybody has that, but you'll be all right. I think you got this, Rylee Jade. If your wrestling career is any indication of what we've seen, I think this man.
Thank you. I really hope so. I mean, I really want to wear a costume to be honest. Lingerie is nice, but like I said, if it falls around October, November, and the president's like, oh, you can wear a costume for Halloween kind of thing.
Right.
Hell yeah, I definitely do it. I love wearing costumes.
Hey, I look at her from a stance too as well, and I love that too. But Selena De La Renta, when she fought at LFC 31, I can say this right now. It was almost a representation of booty shorts. And mind you, there's nothing wrong with some booty shorts. So, I mean, a lot of people can encompass what they want. I think whether it's a Halloween costume, booty shorts, whatever women wear, you're going to see a lot of beautiful ladies. And it's going to be a hell of a time because those fans, especially at the last one, rambunctious. They're into it. They're loud. It's vibrant. And that's what you wanted to have. You don't want to have them standing on their hands. So, I mean, you're in a lot of great company and great crowd there, Miss Rylee Jade.
Exactly. I mean, I've heard how loud the LFC crowd is. So hopefully when I debut, they will cheer for me just as loud.
Right. We're gonna switch over to this side of things because, folks, if you've not seen her wrestling, CWE, Canadian Wrestling Elite, or Real Canadian Wrestling, there's a lot of Canadian wrestling out there. I mean, Border City Wrestling, for God's sake. We're talking about Scott D'Amore. My first introduction to that was when AMW turned heel and they defeated the Naturals going for the tag titles, the NWA tag team titles back in the day for Impact Wrestling. That's how I knew about Border City Wrestling, especially the alumni for Border City, CWE, RCW. I mean, it's Canada, for God's sakes. Hello, Stampede Wrestling. So for you, Rylee Jade, and we'll talk about the Canadian wrestling scene here, you gravitating towards professional wrestling. There's a lot of different outlets that a lot of people can look to for want to get into professional wrestling. You mix it up with popular culture, you mix it all together, we get the best of both worlds, Hannah Montana style. So I got to ask you, Rylee Jade, how'd you gravitate towards professional wrestling? What was your first moment or memory of it? What got you into pro wrestling?
So I used to watch WWE when I was a teenager, and uh, I think after high school I stopped watching. Because it was not the cool thing to do, kind of thing. But I started rewatching it, I believe around 2015 or so, and I'm like, oh, that is so interesting. Like I love watching wrestling. Anyways, I didn't know that indie wrestling existed locally. I thought it was WWE or nothing. One of my close friends messaged me one day and said, hey, there's a tryout for this local indie wrestling company. You should give it a go. And I think at the time, this was around October or so. I was talking to a bunch of my coworkers, and I said, "Hey, do you guys think, um, I'll do well as a wrestler, kind of thing?" And I remember all of them kind of laughed at me and said, "Why would you want to go into wrestling? It's fake, you know, there's nothing to it," kind of thing. And I think what they said to me kind of made me feel a little bit iffy about my way of thinking. So I was like, oh, you know what? They're right. I don't think I can be a wrestler. It's not for me, kind of thing. So I never reached out to the company, never went to their tryout or anything. December came around. I was talking to my close friend again, the one that sent me the link for the tryout. And he said, "So did you ever ended up doing it?" And I said, "No, my coworkers said I probably will never become a wrestler, so no point in trying," kind of thing. And he said, "You effing idiot, uh, do it," kind of thing. So I was like, you know what? He's right, because if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it when I'm like 40, 50, 60 years old. I also don't want to regret the decision either, right? So I reached out to the owner, or one of the owners at the time of the company, and he said there wasn't a tryout coming up anytime soon, but there might be one. I think it was like 5 or 6 months from the time I contacted him. So I said, "Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. I will just work on my cardio, work on lifting heavier, etc., to, you know, uh, keep my statue up." I think a week later, I had another friend send me a link. One of their female wrestlers, trainers, posted on her social media to say that there was a women's try it. So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my God, this was meant to be." So I remember going to the try it, and it was really, really fun. Very different. I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, all we did was front roll, right roll, left roll, back roll. I think we took one bump. I don't even remember if we did it during the first try it or the second one, but yeah, it was really, really fun. So that's how I got started locally. Um, I, I think maybe 3 weeks into training, I broke my ankle doing a leapfrog. So I was out for, I believe, 3 months. And at that time, I'm sure everyone's like, "Oh, she'll never go back."
Right.
Like that's it for her. Um, and I mean, I was pretty I was pretty scarred, and I think my ego was a little bit crushed too. Like, what the hell? Started training, broke my ankle in an air cast, couldn't even do cardio after that. Um, but I went back slowly.
The main thing is as you get back in there. And I mean, if you want to look at it like this, and I'll make another pop culture reference, you like Papa Roach, tear my heart open, man. You got the scar from the leapfrog. Hello. But no, it's one of those things, and I look at it from a stance too as well. Like you talking about, you stop watching wrestling, bada bing, bada boom. We're here 2015. 2015, it was a great year for professional wrestling. We had Seth Rollins, John Cena. That was the overall time period that we had there and really encompassed a great feud. But if you look at professional wrestling, and I can actually equate this with you, I didn't start watching professional wrestling until 2002. Like my dad was a big professional wrestling fan. My dad's been watching wrestling since like the 70s, for God's sake. So that's where I gravitated towards a lot of wrestling, but my dad would never let me watch it with him. But I was so persistent that I'm like, I just wanted to watch it. And I started going to events in '02. Here's where it equates to 2015. The year's 2002. That's where a lot of people start to go with the ruthless aggression era, right? Like here comes John Cena, here comes Randy Orton, here comes Batista, here comes Brock Lesnar, right? So those are like four key people from the OVW training system. The year's 2002. There's no WCW. There's no ECW. WWE is the only game in town. And then TNA and Ring of Honor start up in 2002, but they don't start to get like really hot until like '05, '06. And then here's WWE over here just doing its thing. But we're now in a day and age where there's the importance of the indies. And a lot of people talk about the mid 2000s being the golden age of independent professional wrestling, but there's so many different companies. It's very healthy for a lot of talent to get into professional wrestling. Of course, there's WWE, AEW, Impact, MLW. We mentioned Border City Wrestling. There's so many different things everywhere. It's very territorial, once again, somewhat, some way. But it's one of the things too as well. There's something for everybody. And then if you go to the right school, like NYWC in New York, where I grew up, and FSW in Las Vegas, you have to have that right school. And I mean, you're doing your thing, mind you, leapfrogging, and then boom, 3 weeks into it. But at the same time, we hear stories about that and it happens. But the main thing is you stuck to it. And we're going to get into some bouts here that you've had, ma'am. But god dang, man, here you are. You're doing your thing. I think it's great because it shows that overall compassing and spirit, if you will, to have you keep going. And I think it's set you on the right path to where you are in your career right now. You're welcome. That's the importance of it. I mean, you cannot like not stop. You know what I'm saying? Because people will say that. Oh, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to do that? And of course, the fake thing's going to go in there because people are very unoriginal in their overall insults because it's like, hey, tell me something I don't know. But no, it's one of those things. And the way I mean it by that is it's scripted, mind you, but nothing's fake about what the hell you take. Mind you, as someone who is a ring announcer standing in the ring, I know what bounce is, folks. I mean, if you're a ring announcer and everybody's doing their stuff for LFC, you feel the bounce, more bounce to the ounce, Roger, for God's sake. But you feel that bounce and you feel the overall effects of that ring. And that's for me, even if you felt like, hey, you know what, why would I want to do this? Or, you know, they said I can't do it, bada bing, bada boom. The main thing is, and here's why I respect, like I can respect people like you, I can respect people like anyone. You step into that ring, I give you respect because it's something I wouldn't want to do. I mean, I got a bad back. I got epilepsy, man. I don't need anything happen to the old Nagaruni here. So it's one of the things where you could find your way outside of wrestling to do stuff, whether it be announcing, commentating, what have you. But you're in the business, if you will, to quote Kazarian, the business of professional wrestling. So, I mean, you have done a lot of great work, and we're going to get into these matches here. There's Alex Zwicker, there's Scarlet Black, Vixen Jade. You've done tags, you've showcased your talents among CWE and RCW. I really do enjoy those matches because there's a lot of crispness from you. You could be a babyface, you could be a heel. I've seen those promos with overall in Canadian wrestling. Like you've got that swag about you as a heel, but you can also be that quote unquote white meat babyface, if you will, to put the late great Dusty Rhodes. So it's very versatile and it's very multifaceted. It's like, okay, if I need her to be a babyface, boom, rile up the crowd, smack some hands, kiss some babies, like we're a freaking politician, for God's sake. But you have that aura about you that you could do that. And then if you're a heel, you know what I'm saying? I'll slap somebody, I'll kick somebody, I'll rake your freaking eyes, for God's sake, and I can trash talk. So you're very multifaceted. I think you can be a babyface or a heel, which brings me to the question. And I know I know what I'm gonna get here, but babyface or heel, which one do you prefer? And what are your thoughts of you can make both of those transitions, both very well thus far in your career?
It's so difficult because I honestly feel like I looks wise, babyface for sure.
Right.
Personality wise, maybe a heel. Like it was really fun working as a face, especially when I was with Odin Rex. Odin Rex was a wrestler that I used to manage ballet on top of wrestling myself. But it was really good. I felt like we had really good chemistry. We worked really well together and we looked good as a face team. But as a heel, you get to do so much more. You get to work the crowd, you get to jaw jack with other people. I honestly don't know. I mean, a lot of people say they like working as a heel more, but I honestly don't know for me. And in wrestling, I really enjoyed doing really vibrant, glittery, out there makeup. And as a face, I feel like I can do a lot more of that versus with heels, you do a more like darker, smoky look. There's not really a lot of colors to it, you know?
Yeah, I like that answer, and I'll tell you why. Prominent example here, like you talk about dark and you talk about glittery. When Alexa Bliss was a babyface in NXT before She did the whole stuff with the Fiend, and then she got like more of an edge to her, and she did a lot of this with what she had in her costume. And really, again, it's little intricacies and stuff and nuances, if you will. Alexa Bliss comes into NXT. She's talking about glittery. Her finishing move was the sparkle splash, for God's sake. And she looked like a fairy, kind of like a pixie dust thing. Like, all right, it's cutesy. It's what we are. But that could really transition and transmogrify. There's a word for people. Transition and transmogrify the words from babyface to heel, and you really get to add it up. And I mean, for you, I think if you want to be the white meat babyface and you want to do that glittery stuff, here's a prominent example. Look at Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. The man is the ultimate babyface. Throughout his professional wrestling career, you wanted to see him go against Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. You wanted to see Ricky the Dragon Steamboat against Randy Macho Man Savage at WrestleMania 3. The man could not be a bad guy even if he tried. The man was a babyface his entire career, and that is the definition, the overall exemplified interest and the overall exemplified reaction that you get as a baby face. So if you want to be that type of baby face, if you want to be Ricky Steamboat, go be Ricky Steamboat. Even Trish Stratus, when she was a heel and she had that swag and you just wanted to hate Trish Stratus, and then you love Trish Stratus because she comes from the world of fitness modeling, and then boom, she's into professional wrestling, she learns, becomes one of the greatest of all time. You could have that multifaceted vibe, but when Trish was a baby face, you just love her, you feel her, you feel the crowd, you put the arm up, it's time to rock and roll. I'm not going to sing the whole song, but you know what I'm talking about. So you have that vibe again from the curtain to where you get into the ring. So, I mean, I think it works for you. And I mean, I'm going to say this right now. You got an engaging smile. I'm looking at you right now with your smile. So that can also very transition and transmogrify to the crowd. Again, the little nuances and the intricacies.
Exactly. I mean, you know what, Michael? I feel like my decision is that I prefer being a face more than a heel, which is probably shocking to a lot of people. Heel is more fun, but I really feel like I can get over a lot better as a face. And I love talking to people. So that is my final answer.
This isn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but I like your stuff. Final answer. Okay, lock it in. But no, I mean, I look at it from a stance too as well, and I can respect that. And I mean, you have. I mean, I'll tell you right now. I'm gonna make a rap reference here with your swag, and I've seen you cut heel promos. I'm gonna say right now, when you talk about crushing, it reminds me of the old rap song, "Take my picture, smack my bitch up." That's the kind of vibe I kind of get with you. A little "Take my picture, smack my bitch up." But it's one of those things too, where you can get into that overall. Like, there's so many different genres and subsets when it comes to music and wrestling, especially with travel, because music and wrestling are almost very hand in hand in the simple lifestyles and the simple art forms. And one of the big things I'm about is life is an art form, and we're all applying our craft, so to speak. Like, if you look at music, you got rock, you got hip hop, you got rap, you got pop, you got this, you got that. You have a lot of stuff that's incorporated with music. In professional wrestling, there's strong style, there's, at lucha libre, there's a high octane aerial assault, and then here's the British strong style. So there's a lot of different art forms and subsets. So I think whether it comes to being a babyface and heel, there's a lot of different art forms to how you possess to be a babyface. I mean, you don't want to be like The Rock, for God's sake, which the reason I use The Rock as an example. The man comes out, he's smiling and he's waving. Yeah, I'm in Madison Square Garden. And then like a week or two afterwards, it's Die Rocky Die, for God's sake, which, by the way, is cruel, and that was not right, people. But also at the same time, you're resonating and generating with the people, no matter whether it's positive or negative. And then The Rock becomes one of the best talkers. They let him go out there. He's got the eyebrow. You smell what The Rock is cooking or be all day. So it's stuff like that where you could be that white meat baby face, and it goes hand in hand with everything. Some people are going to like you, some people aren't, but it goes back to the old song, you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. And as long as you're pleasing yourself and you're doing your baby face thing, then what the hell's the problem? So I mean, I think you're nailing it on the baby face side of things. Smack some hands, smile with some kids. You know what I'm saying? Huh?
Exactly.
Take a picture, don't smack a bitch up. I see it. Yes, absolutely. And there's been a lot of great baby faces. I'll make another example. Like, look at Sting, right? Like, everybody loves Sting, from the surfer thing, A Man Called Sting, WCW style, and then you get to the Crow and what we know and love, that is the Stinger now. Like, when they tried to make him heel in TNA, remember the Main Event Mafia, and they had all that stuff that they were doing? Like, I can't boo Sting. It's the Stinger. Like, I can't boo Sting. He's not a heel to me. He's the ultimate babyface. It's like when they tried to make Jeff Hardy heel. Now, mind you, he pulled that off, the whole Antichrist of professional wrestling. But I remember in 2003, when they tried to make Jeff a heel for like 3 weeks, it's like, no, this is Jeff Hardy. Like, why are you trying to make him incorporated to the bad guy thing? Mind you, again, he made it work, but Jeff Hardy's not the typical bad guy. And I'm talking about a character side of things. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are very beloved with the crowd that it's very hard to make that transition. But I think no matter the time and effort that you put into it, it works. And I mean, look at, for God's sake, when like Mickey James, prior example is that she comes in as a psycho crazy fan stalker of Trish Stratus, and that made her work and really set her onto the career path that she had. She could be this crazy bitch heel, or she could be like the babyface that's loved. Victoria is another prime example. She could be the psycho bitch as she was and do this, and all the things she said in Tattoo and the eyeball and the friggin' hand, which still creeps me out to this day. So you have, again, the intricacies and the nuances, but I think a lot of people can showcase with that character. And we talk about the smile. Smile is everything. And I think from the kid side of things, and I think you can agree with me on this, there's nothing like putting a smile on a child's face. If they see that, there's something like, oh my God, I can do this. So you have to realize also the power that you're instilling from in here, if you will, and then boom, taking that into the outside. And really, the kids is what the main thing is. Because if you can resonate with a kid, make them cry, make them sad, evoke emotions from kids, you're there.
Definitely, totally agree. I love getting sympathies from little kids. I remember seeing, I don't remember what match it was. I was getting beat up inside the ring, and I was a face at the time. I reached my hand out to a kid in the front row, and I said something along the lines of like, "Oh, help me." And the kid, he started tearing up, and that made me feel really bad. I was like, oh no.
Right there, that's great. Like, first and foremost, you have to do that. If you're the you know what that is? That's the baby face in peril right there. I love that. See, that's the proverbial baby face in peril.
Felt like it hurt my heart a lot more seeing him tear up than me getting beat up in the ring.
Oh my goodness. But no, I think what's great about that too is, and I mind you, you feel bad because, of course, I'll be honest. If I was in that same situation, I feel bad because the poor kid's got tears going down his eye.
Yeah.
But the main thing is you're doing your job because you're the baby face in peril, just reaching at that arm. It's like, oh no, my hero's getting beat up. It's like when Spider-Man is getting beat up by the friggin' Green Goblin, for God's sake. Or you could see like Batman getting beaten up by the Joker, or you see Spider-Man or Superman, what have you, and the Kryptonite, if you will, by Lex Luthor. Think of it like a comic book world. It's the baby face and villain. It's the antagonist and the protagonist. So, I mean, it works. If you can encompass that and really relate it to popular culture, then you're doing your job and you're applying the craft, Miss Rylee Jade.
Yes, exactly. I have a story to tell you.
Hit me.
So when I had my first match, it was in Calgary, and I'm from Vancouver, Canada. And when you first start as a wrestler, you always start as a face because as a heel, you lead the match, so to speak. When I went to Calgary, I expected to be a face. That was the plan, anyways. I remember the promoter coming up to me. This was maybe 3 hours before showtime, and he goes, "You're gonna be a heel tonight, and it's gonna be a intergender tag." It was originally supposed to be a singles match, but it turned into an intergender tag. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. I don't really know how to lead at the time. And I mean, I was so new. That was my first match. I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. And now I have to be a heel. And I kind of asked why, like just out of curiosity, and I never got a real answer. But I think I got it from the crowd. Nobody knew who I was because the girl that was the face, she was a regular in Calgary. Everyone knew her. Same with the men. Like everyone knew who the men were, but I was the only person that was kind of like, oh, who is she? Where is she from? Kind of thing. I remember stepping out of that curtain, and I have never been booed so loud in my life. Just literally for walking out of the curtain. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. I I don't know if it was because I am Asian and in Calgary I guess people might not be as open. Like Calgary was fine. It was Edmonton that was really, really bad for me. There were people in the audience that were giving me the middle finger, telling me to uh, go F myself.
Oh,
And like one person told me to go home kind of thing. Yeah, no joke. Calgary, it was good. I shouldn't say, Calgary was bad, but Edmonton was interesting. It was very, very interesting. But at the same time, you know what? Like I said, that was the loudest booze I have ever gotten in my life. Like, even when people cheered me, it was not even half as loud as the booze that I got in Edmonton. It was crazy. And you know what? I lost against that girl. They cheered, obviously. Um, I think the second night in Edmonton, it was a singles match, if I remember correctly. But um, yeah, that was my second match.
so here's what you do. So if you're gonna be the heel, and here's the thing that I always love, because Matt Hardy, like when Matt Hardy, obviously we know the version one, throw it. Oh, just freaking did that wrong. Hold on. The version one, got to get my fingers there. The whole version one, if you will, character. Um, before he started that, he wrestled, I believe it was Chavo Guerrero or someone. He took a loss, and it was like a cheap victory, right? And he gets on the mic and he goes, I'm getting screwed worse than Bret Hart. Like stuff like that works because again, the Montreal screw job, you tied into popular culture. Like that, if you would have lost, all you need to take the microphone is, man, I'm getting screwed worse than your local hero, Bret the Hitman Hart. Or you know what you could say? I'm getting worse than freaking Lance Storm. You use the Calgary-esque, use the hometown stuff, you use the wrestlers type of deal. There's so many ways to generate the heel heat. And I'm going to say this right now. It's funny that you bring that up because it's like different areas, like in Edmonton or Calgary. Some can be more accepting, some cannot. And I mean, I look at a woman like Gail Kim, and I mean, Gail Kim is one of the most amazing athletes ever from her tenure in WWE, TNA, what have you. She's a Hall of Famer. And I mean, someone with Korean, and she's also Canadian as well. Like, look at a woman like Gail Kim, killed it. And I look at a woman like yourself, killing it. So what's great about it too is as well, and I remember I interviewed a talent from my other series outside LFC, punk rock queen Jamie Senegal, right? The LGBT community is in full effect. There's so many great talents, doesn't matter race, creed, sexual orientation, what have you. But I could see how that like transforms, and so to speak, because like you're going down to the South because they do a lot of independent wrestling in the South, but it's just like, oh man, because the South may not be receptive to said LGBTQ type talent than it is whether in this place or that place. So, I mean, you have that type of feel to it. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. But I think how you really go into it and how you look at the overall experience, I think it shows. And I think you going into your experience that, of course, you've had, I think it shows and it made you stronger and it made you realize the different subsets. So I think that's a learning experience in itself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after that day, I didn't go back to Calgary or Edmonton for 2 years. So, God, that was terrifying to me. So stepping out, I was so scared, and I remember this. Like I said, I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first time performing in front of a crowd of people booing me so loud, I forgot what I was doing.
You're kind of like Soul Decision, like a Canadian pop band reference. You're kind of faded, but you don't feel all right. This situation.
Yeah, exactly. So that was that. I mean,
I can
yeah,
I can respect that, but no, I think and a lot of people don't realize like professional wrestling in a way it's very scary, the risk and the reward, but you don't know. I mean, the business is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Some people get in, and then it's like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Like look at Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle will always talk about like he made that transition from winning the Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck, just in case nobody knew that he won it with a broken freaking neck. So you see him going and he's training at the WWE headquarters in the warehouse, right? Like he's working on promos, he's training, and he's like, man, I don't think I want to do this because he's bruised and stuff. And of course, you get the rope burn from running the ropes, and people don't realize like just running the ropes friggin' takes a toll and leaves you all scarred and battled and bruised up. So then he stuck to it, and then look at Kurt Angle's career. So it's not something that everybody can do. And unfortunately, I look at it from a stance too as well. We see a lot of wrestlers like when their career's done, whether it be an injury, whether it be concussions, because concussions, we realize now, CTE and everything that's really encompassed in what we have in concussions nowadays. A lot of people need to realize like you could be a ring announcer, you could be an announcer, you could work in the back, you can coach. There's so many different levels to professional wrestling. And I think with in using in your case, Miss Rylee Jade, from being in the ring or being outside the ring, I think you in your own right can have the tools to help a lot of the newcomers going up. So I mean, I think that is the ultimate gift in itself. Mind you, it's great to do your thing and apply your craft and reach out to little kids and say, help me and make them cry, but I digress. So it's one of those things where you have those many things that you can help the younger generation. And I think instilling that knowledge into you is also one of the things that's very beneficiary, if you will, about professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
Now for you, and I'm going to say this as well, because I have a couple final things I want to ask you. And RJ in the building, Rylee Jade, I'd love to have you back for round two. It's really been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to pick your brain and shoot the breeze with you today.
Thank you so much. I would love to come back to do another one of your podcasts. We haven't even gone into other wrestling things like wrestling Scarlett, Jade the Vixen, etc.
Well, I mean, for you, and we'll get into that now, and I'm glad that you brought that up. So let's talk about Alex Wicker and Scarlett and Vixen. Now, again, I watched the match. Good stuff, good tag action. We talk about the Christmas. Let's just talk about this really quickly here with Alex and Scarlett. I've seen Alex's work with RCW and really what we had with Canadian wrestling. For you, what were your thoughts about that match? Because I said that was one of the things I really studied about you, and I like the situation. I like how everybody was into it, and I like just everybody's overall character driven, character based. Everybody really fulfilled their role in that match. So let's talk about that match here. Alex Wicker, Scarlett Black, Vixen Jade. What were your thoughts about that particular matchup?
So that match was with CWE, I believe, um, run by Danny Duggan. It was really fun because you know what? I don't know Alex very much, you know, outside of wrestling her a couple of times, but I've worked with Scarlett Black a whole bunch. I've only worked Jade the Vixen maybe 3 times, and it was always in a tag, some type of four-man or like not singles. But that tag match was really, really fun. I let's see. I think it was me and Jade the Vixen versus Scarlett Black and Alex, right?
Correct.
Is that the one that we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Scarlett Black was really helpful. Scarlett was actually one of the women that really, really helped me when I first started. I mean, when you first start, you're new, you don't really know what you're doing, you need guidance, et cetera, et cetera. She really helped me. She was open to helping me, and even her partner, Danny Deeds. He was one of the very few people that was willing to work with me, while I was still new, while I was still learning how to work in front of the crowd. Um, we had a lot of matches in Kelowna actually, and it was really, really nice. I feel like I have Scarlett and Danny Deeds to thank for that. Same with working uh, Jade the Vixen. She's really, really talented, good worker. They guide me a lot. Um, yeah, like nothing but good things to say about those people. They're really, really great people.
I think that just represents and exemplifies the many good parts of professional wrestling. People talk about the politics and this and that, but I think when you have those genuine good people, and I think it takes two to tango, as they say. And I think with that, like, there's no reason to take liberties in professional wrestling. That's a big thing because you're giving another person your body. And I think watching that match, it just shows y'all took care of each other and it made for a great matchup. And you set out to do what you needed to do, whether it be tag or multi-man, multi-woman, what have you. I think that really shows and it resonates to what you're going to do going forward with how you build to get to the story that you're trying to tell. And I think I'm going to say this right now. You talk about heel heat and you talk about babyface heat. Nothing for me. This is me speaking from experience at the States. So Ring of Honor, when they first started, like, man, they did a lot of shows at Sports Plus on Long Island. So Sports Plus, here's the thing, folks. You got downstairs. You can play some games. You can get a slice of pizza. Dare I mention Manja again, because we're both food addicts over here. Miss Rylee Jade, get yourself a nice cheese pizza, to quote Tim Curry in Home Alone 2, Boston, New York. So you have that variety down there, but then you go up there, there's the auditorium, there's like the ballroom, and then boom, here's Ring of Honor. Like, you're seeing Homicide against Colt Cabana. You're seeing Jay Lethal against Loki. You're seeing Bryan Danielson against James Gibson, aka Jamie Noble, for the Ring of Honor World's Heavyweight Championship. But there was always an act, and a lot of people know these names I'm going to mention. There was Jimmy Jacobs, and there was BJ Whitmer. They were Ring of Honor tag champs. They were a hell of a tag team, but they were managed by Lacey, who did a lot of work for Shimmer and a lot of American women's professional wrestling promotions. Amazing talent. She grabbed that heel heat so much, and everybody hated Lacey, that one of the chants that I always used to remember, and this is taking it back to 05 here, she was such a heel, everybody hated her, and everybody chanted at her, she's a crack whore. And again, as a 13-year-old, mind you, a 13-year-old at a wrestling event, and then you hear she's a crack whore. Oh my God. For the first time, you're realizing, because again, like we talk about, like, this is just WWE here. Like, you're WWE, and then you look at like TNA, and then you see here's Ring of Honor over here, bada bing, bada boom. And it's like, oh man, like you start to realize the different subsets of independent wrestling, pro wrestling, and different overall art forms. So yeah, at least you didn't get to the point where people are calling you a crack whore. So that's a plus.
Oh no, just a middle finger and telling me to F off and go home.
Let's go home. Fuck off.
Yeah, it's not as bad.
But still, I mean, hey, here's the best thing. There's better to have a reaction than no reaction, right?
Exactly. I'd rather hear something than nothing.
Speaking of hearing something, and I'm going to say this right now, a couple final LFC questions, since we touched upon a lot in today's forum. With LFC, we talked about the entrance. We talked about how grateful you are. You're ready to go out there. You're ready to crush. I'm going to sit on you. I'm going to channel my inner Bash. Rest in peace. Sits on face. We're going to do a lot of shiznit, if you will. So for you, who do you have your eyes on for your official LFC debut when that does happen, near future, what have you, sooner rather than later? Who are some of the girls you've been scouting, man, and who's one that you really want to get into it there with?
You know what? I looked through the list of prospects. Now, I don't know if I'm going to fight a veteran or a prospect or just someone else entirely. I have no idea. But a lot of the women in prospects, like Holly Dunway, she's first on the list, and she is a retired boxer, I believe.
Four-time pro boxing heavyweight champ. Yep.
Right. She seems super dangerous. I mean, I don't know if I want to get KO'd within the first 10 seconds of being in the ring with her. My boxing skills is very mediocre, to say the least. But I would love to watch her fight. I think it would be so interesting. I think she would put on a great fight, but I wouldn't want to go up against the number one ranked prospect. That would not be good.
Understood. So is there anyone prospect or veteran that really sticks out? Mind you, I understand about Holly Donnelly. Holly Donnelly, sweetheart outside of the ring, if you will, but oh my God, for those who've not seen Holly Dunaway's previous fights, and she's talked about it on her YouTube channel, woman's a beast, and she could go, and that's a great addition and attraction to the LFC auspices. So looking through that prospect list, looking through the veterans, I mean, you've seen a lot of the LFC reality stuff. I mean, we've talked, we've done our homework, and I've helped you along the way and sent you some stuff. So I got to ask you, is there veteran, prospect, who are you looking at, man? Who are you scouting? Because Jolene Hex has got all the gold. She's got the blingage. She's got the chain. She's got the European title. She's got the world title. I mean, we got a lot of stuff there. So Jolene has it all. It's on the pink team. I got it all. To quote Billy Gunn, she's the one. So here is what we have here. We have Jolene with everything, representing the pink team with Joel Kane when he's not getting thrown in the pool. Okay, we got to talk about this. I have never seen someone laugh so hard and really just see. And I put the compilation on the Instagram. We'll promote this in a sec. I put the compilation of Joel getting thrown in the pool by Roxy Roundhouse Michaels, by Natasha Rattlesnake Rodriguez, by Jesse El Toro Santos, by a lot of women that has thrown his ass, if you will, and I love you, Joel, but has thrown his ass, if you will, into that pool. So I mean, poolage, if you will. But you were very, very much into Joel getting thrown in the pool and laughing your head off at the pool.
Oh man, you know what? Um, this is not finalized yet either, but
Right.
I think I'm being put on the pink team.
Hey,
And Joe Kane is the coach, the manager of the pink team. If he were to ever get in my way of eating food, like food, I'm very possessive. I'm very territorial with my food. I love to eat. If he were to steal any food of mine, I can guarantee you he'll get hucked into the pool real fast
so
by me.
so you're like pretty much my precious when it comes to like food. You're like the my precious, you know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Yep, I can see that. I can see I can
I you know what? I can't help it. I love food. That's why I have to work out. There's honestly no way around it. I mean, if I don't work out, then I grow in size, this way.
well, what is it for the food? Is it like you got like a sweet tooth, or is it like I gotta have me some chips, or what are you thinking here? Like, what's the sandwiches? What are you talking about food wise, man?
No, in Vancouver, we have a lot of good foods. Like we have ramen, we have Greek food, we have like Korean fried chicken. It's amazing. I mean, I would never want to leave Vancouver because the food is so good here. Imagine if I have to go to, um, I don't know, like Saskatchewan or something. Like, what is there to do? What is there to eat there? Nothing.
You,
I,
you got me wanting to come to Vancouver now, man. Just looking at those type of Korean little ramen. Hey, you got me wanting to come to Vancouver. Get me a little manja. I like it. But yeah, no, that that's the thing too. Chucking Joel in the pool because of food. I think that would be a first. Don't take your food or get chucked in the pool. I like it. But no, and I think what's great about it too is like I mentioned Jolene, I mentioned the pink team, the black team, and now we have a blue team. So there's so many people that you got going for you. And I think if you were to ever go against Jolene, I think that'd be fun. We got Bella Inc., who's like coming at you like a spider monkey, like it's Talladega Night, Ricky Bobby style. She'll come out the gate and punch you. She'll kick you. She's a brawler. I mean, we got Bella Inc. We got Jenny Bloody Valentine. And there's a lot of things too here as well. Like you talk about going to the gym, miss 5 times a week over here. Oh, by the way, there's some swag and confidence. I'm in the gym 24/7. You gym rat, you. So I mean, bodybuilding is another thing in the fitness side of things that goes into it. So you got a lot of strongness and the swole and the goal and the size of the prize will be here all day and the gains, if you will. So I mean, there's a lot of people I think you can really dive into there, and I think it'll be a hell of a matchup. So whoever your first opponent is, prospect or veteran, I can't wait to see it happen.
I think you should really talk to the president of LFC, even though Jolene is on the pink team. Um, I would like to challenge for one of her 3 titles, all of her titles. I mean, she's got everything right now.
And the blingage, and especially the blingage.
Exactly. She can afford to, sacrifice one to a newcomer, right? I think that's very justifiable.
All right, but she'll probably be like the weekend. She doesn't want to sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? All those titles. So I get it. But
No, definitely not.
But either way, I think what we're going to see here is, folks, this right here, I'm looking at you, Rylee Jade, is a prime example of what we're going to see prospects wise and a lot of the newcomers to come for LFC events and then the booty camp events, booty rocking everywhere. So I think what we're going to see is a lot of great talents. And this is an example of a lot of great strive and determination and many women that just want to be a part of LFC and have a good ass time and look sexy in the process. So yes, that is a lingerie fighting championship encompassed all in one. And before we close this out, ma'am, I know you're on now on Twitter, and God bless you for that because we had the conversation. Because no, and I mean, I get it. Look, we have social media to promote ourselves, and this is the day and age that we're in. Especially TikTok now has become all the craze and the rage. And when you're not dancing, you're promoting your shiznit on TikTok. So for you, let everybody know where we can find you on all forms of social media. I believe it's Facebook and Instagram, but please let them know where we can find you, and the links will be in the description, Rylee Jade.
You know what? You are absolutely right. I do not have Twitter and I do not have TikTok. I feel like it will suck the life out of me, and I would like to be happy. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say on social media either, and I mean, Twitter is all about voicing your opinion. I can't do it. I
Yeah.
am not. I'm not much of a social media person because I find that it makes me feel a, a little down sometimes. And I want to be happy. I want to do things that I want to do without being criticized by people that don't know me online, if that makes sense. But I do have Facebook. I do have Instagram. My Facebook is Rylee Jade. I I don't know what the link is. I think you would know, Michael.
So Rylee Jade, and I'll say this right now, so I'll put it both in the description, Facebook and Instagram. If you just type in the R to the Y to the L to the double E, J to the A to the D to the E, that's what you get with Rylee Jade. So I'll put it simple as enough, like Jeff Jarrett, ain't I great, JEFFJARRETT. We got the RY to the L double E, JA to the D to the E. I will put the links in the descriptions. So for those who want to follow Rylee Jade, and I'll be honest with you, you know what you're kind of like? You're kind of like Molly Holly. And here I'll make a podcast reference. When Molly Holly was on the Art of Wrestling Colt Cabana's podcast, and Colt's like, "Oh, Molly, promote your social media." And she's like, "I'm not on social media." And I'm like, see, I can respect that because it's like it sucks the life out of you. Mind you, all right, I'll tell you a funny story here. So, and like I said, links will be in the description, folks. So when I first started on Facebook, I did not want it. And here's why. So I was a senior at the time. I was graduating high school. This is 2010, right? So this is really like when Facebook is moving out of like colleges and if Facebook's really becoming popular. MySpace is done. They could go F off. Like, those fans, fuck off. Just go home. Go the fuck home, MySpace. So MySpace is out of here. And now we have Facebook, right? So one of the girls who I was friends with, she was a sophomore and I was a senior. So to put it to you in perspective here, I was the get along kid. I got along with everybody. I tried to be that exemplary senior that was not going to, haze and do all the bullshit. I got along with everybody. So she wanted to add me on Facebook. And I'm like, I don't have Facebook. And she gave me like a look like, you're not on Facebook? And I'm like, no. No, Facebook. So I started it just like to connect, but then I had like 40 friend requests within like how long I was ever on Facebook at the time. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. So now I have to use it now for promotional stuff. And also I get to work with over here like yourself. So, I mean, if it's good for a promotional tool, but if we didn't have to use it for a promotional tool, I wouldn't use it because I didn't use MySpace. I didn't do all that crap. So I hardly use it anyway, just for like work stuff and maybe to wish somebody happy birthday, but that's like about it. Like I'm more of a traditional, let's talk on the phone. How about an email? How about a text? So you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm on all that. I'm out of those vibes, so to speak. So I get it. And you have to do it for your sanity. You have to break away from that like you Kelly Clarkson.
Definitely. Instagram, though, I believe my handle is Rylee _ Jade _ wrestling.
Yep, got that here.
Okay.
Too many damn underscores, man. Well, that's the thing too with like social media. You have to add a number. You have to add an underscore. There has to be a symbol. And I'm like, why? I'm not Prince. I didn't turn myself into a symbol. I'm not Prince, for God's sake. So I mean, it's like, why do we have to have an underscore stuff? Why can't we just use our name, for God's sake?
Yeah, right. And I think that the other problem about having social media is being able to find a name that you can use without adding like 1111 exclamation mark or like all the other extra stuff that you don't really want in there. Honestly, Michael,
I get it. I totally get it. I mean, it's like with doing like, I'll be honest, like on my Instagram, and if people want to follow me, it's Larkin _92. Like there was already like a Larkin something. I'm like, but that's my name. Like I can't, there's already how many Michael Larkins are like on there on Instagram, for God's sake. So I had to just put my name and you have to make it simple as well. So it could just be my last name and the year I was born, 92. So for those who want to follow yours truly, it's Larkin _92 and SM Show 1 on the Twitter machine. So links to everybody's description, including LFC. And this is the very important one. I want y'all to go to lfcfights.com. I want y'all to click on prospects, and then you can see on the prospect list. And yes, I want you to go to lfcfights.com. I want you to become a VIP member. I want you to watch this podcast in video form. I want you to go on LFC Network on Roku. I want you to download the Roku where you can see this podcast. You can see the LFC Exposed series much on the website. You can see Mods and Bods coming with Miles Long. You can watch Get Wet with Audrey the Mongoose Monique and Terry Feisty Fist doing their damn thing. The new episode's out on the website with Coach Joel Kane, talk about his dating experience experience in eating sardines because it's gross and it's very entertaining watching Joel puke. Love you, Joel. So if you want to watch that on the VIP members section, go ahead and become a VIP member. And if you actually want to follow the real LFC, R to the E to the A to the L, the real LFC, you can check out LFC_fights on Twitter. You can check out fights_LFC on Instagram. You could go on the old tickety talk, the heart TikTok. You don't stop. Color me bad style, baby. And check out LFC Fights. That's capital L, capital F, capital C, capital F, IGHTS. I had a spelling error. LFC. Check it out on TikTok. Links will be in the description so everybody can be directed accordingly. And that's all I got to say about that, Forrest Gump style. So, Rylee Jade, before we close this out, do you have any final words for the Lingerie Fighting Championships fans, the faithful? What do you have to say to the people?
I am super excited to meet all of you guys. I look forward to hopefully debut this year if all goes well. And, COVID doesn't make you do all these tests and hold you in a cell for 14 days or something like that. But I am really hopeful. I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody. Find me on social media. I will most likely respond within a week.
Give it time, man. Just give it time. Patience is a virtue when you reach out to Rylee Jade. I like your style. You're so jaded. I'm the one that jaded you. Aerosmith, 2001. So check out Rylee on Instagram. It's really a great file. You get to see some of the matches that we talked about today and the Canadian wrestling independent scene, and of course some LFC stuff. And check her out on Facebook. Do the damn thing. Go out, look at some Rylee Jade. And folks, this will conclude another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. And Rylee Jade, as I always like to end this show, beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Joel, don't steal her food or she'll throw you through the pool. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you next episode.
Fight, fight, fight.